welcome. Looks like we're live here. Thank you, DNR's Corner, for joining our Lessons and Talks member tier here on the YouTube channel. So I just saw that come through the chat. Awesome. And later in the video, I'm actually going to take a moment, like I did last week, to recognize the members of the channel. Today I thought I might give a little preview of what I'm going to talk a little bit about in this coming week, or some ideas that I have. I thought I'd talk a little bit about melodic minor, modes of melodic minor, or chord scales of melodic minor that can be helpful. I just released a video on invitation, and this tune has quite a few moments where you can use melodic minor in your improvisation for some of the harmonies. So, for example, this is a minor major 7. Let me bump that up a half step. So that could be a good comping kind of chord, or ending chord for the tune. So minor major 7 is a great place to use melodic minor, and there are also some dominant 7th type things that you might find helpful, at least on that tune. So we'll discuss a little bit about that, and I'll take your questions and all that as you join in here. We're live on a few platforms, so maybe I'll do a little noodling around while we get started here. And I'm going to mute my microphone. So, Amos, good morning. How are you doing today? So, playing around there a little on the form of invitation, kind of exploring those changes a bit. And like I said earlier, there are opportunities um, for you to get some practice with modes of melodic minor on this tune. So, quite a few instances. And I'll just set this up by saying that it's not as if you have to use a particular type of chord scale on a particular thing. So that's sort of the artistry end of it, where you kind of use these as note collections. That may be a helpful starting point. So let's take some chords here. So we know we're on we have C minor. Okay, that's there for quite a while. I talked a little bit about this on the podcast, but can really kind of stretch out by using maybe some triads and things. But I won't get too deep into that right now. F13, and then we get to this B flat. Now, one thing that I did, or kind of pulled from when you heard me kind of playing through this earlier, is early on there, I'm kind of thinking in terms of, or as far as note collections go, a Lydian dominant. So that gives us the sharp 11. We get the 9, 13. See how many of these we can fit in here. It's an interesting sounding chord. So that kind of gets pretty much everything, right? So Lydian dominant is a mode of the melodic minor scale, and it's a very useful chord scale. And it has that characteristic sound of the sharp 11, but everything else is kind of Mixolydian. So that's why you get the Lydian. So if you had a Lydian mode of the major scale, then you have the sharp 11. So this one has, and then if you have just Mixolydian, which is straight from the major scale, then you get the Mixolydian, and take the two kind of characteristic elements of that, the flat 7, the sharp 11, and you get the Lydian dominant, which is a mode of F melodic minor. Okay. I have that. Michael says, I have that music poster. Cool. Yeah, that's a pretty famous one. That's actually a puzzle that was put together by my family members and then framed. Can't see it on the horizontal video, but over there to my far left, there's a poster, which actually it was originally, I had a poster of it, and then it got replaced by this. So. I'm not sure if they like glued it together or if it's just kind of stuck there in the frame. So, welcome, Jeffrey. Good to see you again. Good to see you here. So as I was saying, talking a little bit about melodic minor and invitation, and kind of give you some things to maybe explore. So I'm hoping midweek I can put together a video kind of covering a little bit of melodic minor and discussing that. So uh, as the progression kind of continues and we get closer and closer to the E flat minor, then you might change up your chord scale to another mode of the melodic minor, which is oftentimes called the altered scale. Right? Which another perspective on that would be to take the tritone root from B flat, put that to an E, and then play Lydian dominant. Okay, so whatever works best for you to think about. And yeah, Amos says hit that like button for Jim. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely. Do try to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. See if I can trigger this little thing. Yes, like and subscribe. Reached what, 12? Almost. Well, we're getting our next goal would be 12,000 subscribers, which would be really cool. But we're at about 11.2 thousand, so very grateful for that. Very grateful for all the folks who are watching now and those who kind of subscribe and check in with me regularly. So I put together a arrangement of the Invitation, which is really great tune, written by Branislaw Kaper or Caper. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but he also, I believe, wrote On Green Dolphin Street. So two definitely very important tunes in our jazz guitar repertoire, and two tunes that do get called a lot. So you really want to know those or be familiar with them. So that Lydian dominant mode of the melodic minor scale is really really helpful for some particular chord progressions, and it comes up quite a bit on this tune, Invitation. So let's see, we go through this progression. We stay on E flat minor for quite a while, right? And then we get to A flat 13, and then D flat 7, D flat 9. This is also another spot where it would be kind of a nice sound to work with that Lydian dominant. So if you're not familiar just yet, just take the Mixolydian mode and raise the fourth note. So 1, root, 2, 3. Take, instead of this note, play this note. So raised 11. So I have a siren go by here in a minute. Okay. And it works really nice in many circumstances. As a 2 chord, you could think of Take the A Train. As a flat 7 chord, as a flat 6 chord, 4 chord. So it's really quite a helpful chord scale to work with when you're working with standards. And then, of course, you want to make the distinction between a modal type tune and a maybe like a standard jazz chord progression. So there are different circumstances where you might think of these modes somewhat differently. So when we get into this, the B section, or the middle section of this tune, we go from this same root note to minor, right? So the chord quality changes to minor, and then we get into this little walk down, and that kind of keeps cascading down. So let me give you some tips on this dominant 7th chord, and similar to what we just talked about earlier. So you could think of this in terms of the F sharp 7, flat 9, sharp 5. Now another way to sort of visualize this is to think about C9. So when improvising, you could consider the C Lydian dominant and the F sharp altered scale or Superlocrian, which ends up being the same note collection. So you can experiment there with the different tones and all of that. So I'll take a minute to recognize our members of the YouTube channel. We have DR's Corner, who just joined early this morning. Danielle Da Silva, Del Hollingsworth, Osvaldo Arancibia. Apologize if I mispronounce your name. Jacob Peter, Osvaldo, Udo Horhold, Nathan Wilson, Chaz Robertson. Thanks so much for being a member. Really appreciate it. And members of Lessons and Talks get kind of video versions of the podcast, as well as some member live streams and stuff. Ben is my name. Thanks for subscribing. Randy Rhodes. Awesome player. Interesting story there about Randy Rhodes. I was watching a little documentary or something at one point on Randy Rhodes, or maybe just some interviews and stuff like that. And Ozzy Osbourne said something like, we used to want to go out and have a fun time and party or whatever, and Randy would always want to go out and take a guitar lesson from a local classical guitarist, so he would seek out, like, as he was touring around, he would seek out coaching or lessons from local classical guitarists. So maybe fact check that on me, but that's pretty interesting to me. I think that's pretty cool. And as a little thing, when I work on guitar, I oftentimes try to keep my chops, maintained, and try to keep my tech. I'm kind of talking about my like technical things in shape as much as I can, and maybe get a little bit better on it too. Um, so I'll oftentimes bring out some classical guitar and do some sight reading, or try to refresh my memory on uh, some of the repertoire that I've done in the past. Um, the Venezuelan waltzes are really really cool. I was looking at those yesterday. Yeah, the whole story of that day with kind of who got on the plane, and I think he was already really afraid of flying too. But and it's been a while since I've heard that story, but it's really unfortunate because Randy Rhoads was really an incredible talent, as far as guitar, and then just coming up with the things he came up with as well. Very special individual. So I'm gonna do a little noodling around here. If you have any questions, or let me know what you're kind of into lately, or anything like that. It's baseball season, so I'm trying to keep up with the Orioles, which is our local team here. And let me know where you're from. Are you from a city in United States, or elsewhere? I think we have one Canadian team. Maybe more. I don't know. I don't know if baseball's big outside the United States, but yeah, I think that's how I remember it. So that must be right. He wanted to go to sleep, got talked to getting onto that plane. Yeah. All right. Well, I'm gonna do a little noodling here, and if there's anything that I do that you kind of like wondering what I'm doing, let me know, and maybe I'll just kind of discuss a little bit afterwards too. So a couple of things on the on this tune. So I ended that arrangement that I released yesterday morning on this chord. Hey Jeffrey, Jeffrey's over on our horizontal live stream now. Thanks for joining in there. So this chord is we put it over the E flat, and if we survey through these, we have a 6, flat 3, 5, and major 7. So this is a nice chord for minor major 7. Notice too that if you have a flat in the bass, then you get that same kind of Lydian dominant sort of thing happening there too. Right. So melodic minor, at least from my perception of it, it feels a little mysterious sounding, and I don't know exactly why that is, but maybe our ears are so used to hearing major scale type harmony that the melodic minor maybe feels just a little different, or it also has more kind of different types of intervals within it, just moving that kind of one note. So let's look at E flat. Let's find an easy way to kind of come up with a E flat melodic minor. So let's compare it to E flat major. So E flat major, this kind of sound. Now if we take this tone, that's the third of the major scale, then we get the melodic minor. So that's a somewhat easy way to arrive at it. Take a major scale and lower the third tone from the root note. You get that. So minor major 7 type sounds. And if you look into kind of the repertoire of the hard bop kind of period, maybe think of Horace Silver and maybe Benny Golson and others, you'll find that there's a lot of use there, a lot of tunes where you could really put that chord scale or that collection of tones to use in those tunes as well. Okay. So I'll talk a little bit about just some of the general circumstances that you might try to think about modes within. If you're composing, you could have different circumstances where you might want to place those in. You might want to have a section where you do a little bit of wanting a certain sound, a certain palette for a period of time, and that's where you might consider more of the modal music approach, where you could say, well, maybe I want this sound for like 4 measures or something, or 8 measures, or whatever it is. And right, then you can have this Lydian augmented or something, something along those lines. You say, oh, I want this kind of thing happening. Now another circumstance is where you maybe are writing a tune based on a standard, or you're learning a standard tune, or doing a contrafact or contrafaction on an existing tune that maybe is in that standards kind of thing. like maybe like Cole Porter or something, someone like that. Then you might want to use some of these chord scales as more like starting points for being able to outline some of those harmonies, right? Like, let's say, for example, we had a D minor 7 flat 5, and that's gonna end up going to G7 flat 13, and then that's gonna go to major, something like that. And then you might say, okay, well, what about the scale, which is not from the major scale? So so that is like Locrian with the natural 2, natural 9, and that's kind of cool because we end up on major, so you could do something like this and this, so that could be D minor 7 flat 5. I don't have the third in there, but take that same shape up 3 frets. Okay, kind of a G7 sharp 5, and then place that into C major and kind of explore that whole sound. Curious to know if anybody's tried that that arrangement. Of invitation. One of my goals there is to, and I think I said this in the intro of the video, is to get something pretty straightforward, something that you could get up and running and play on a gig or something, or just for your own enjoyment. But leaving enough space and leeway for you to kind of make some changes to it, So for example, on that last chord, I thought, well, should I go, so on an E flat minor major 7, should I go with this chord voicing or this one, or so those are all choices that you can make as you're playing and working through some tunes. And actually on the member area, we discuss pretty in depth some of the choices that I made and some of the directions you could go on our latest live stream. But I'm doing my best to get a tune out per week, which I've been doing for I think 3 months now. And I'm also striving to get a midweek video that's more geared towards improvisation and all that. So I think what I'm gonna do is talk about melodic minor, but who knows? Maybe I'll go in a different direction. Not sure what's trending at the moment because I haven't looked or done too much surfing recently. But let me know if you have anything that you're interested in. Freebird. Freebird. Yeah, another awesome tune. Play an original. So if you want to check out one of my originals, I've got a tune. It's a little wacky, honestly, and I kind of was going for that, but check out Tonia, Tonia, by Jim Ellis. It has a pretty, I'm going to say kind of uneasy intro, um, and then it kind of settles into this sort of more groove oriented thing. It has some odd meter sections in it, or some sections that are odd meter, that link, I think, into some pretty interesting ways into these kind of more open sections that occur. Some dude is asking, is that an ES335? Well, it's in that tradition of building, but it's an Ibanez. You probably can't see it on the vertical. Let me see if I can get that. So it's an Ibanez. AS2000 or 200, AS200, which they recently renamed to 2000. So it's one of the Japanese made. Tony B, original or an overly complicated metal song within the ruins. It's in drop C. Wow. Okay, yeah, I probably wouldn't be able to pull that off. I do plan to write some more original work, but my main focus has been on teaching and learning myself the process of recording, and so that's been kind of my main focus. But if I can get a little bit of the time or anything like that, I am gonna dedicate more time to writing originals and things. But I'm trying to work on some sort of foundational things in my whole setup, which is mostly to do with teaching and my website member area and building all of that, as well as learning the process of recording. And I'm just starting to offer some services. So for folks who might have small projects, similar to what I'm doing, doing like a video on YouTube, is, I could help someone, put out a nice, polished version, good recording that translates over different instruments. It wouldn't be like sending it to a big professional studio or something. So it's not anything like that. But yeah, I'm getting to a point where with my mixing skills where I can help folks out, because I have learned a lot over this time. Yeah, teaching is the best way to learn. Yeah, I think so. Tony B says he's a drummer, not so good at guitar. Well, I try to do drumming. It's hard for me. So it's hard to do a different instrument. It's interesting. One of my teachers early on, Walter Namath, played drums and guitar, and he used to he was a guitarist in the Buddy Rich band, and he would warm up the band playing drums for the group before Buddy Rich would come on stage perform. So that's kind of an interesting thing, and I did take a few drum lessons. I wish I had stuck with it a little more, because this is one area where it's difficult for me to record and program drums and stuff. But in some cases, I use loops, like I did this past week. Is my amp a 22 watt? You know, it goes up to 200 watts. I'm using this Quilter Pro Block, which is really pretty old at this point, relatively. So I don't think it's in production, but I've got it set to about 16 watts right at the moment. It's solid state. So I think it sounds pretty good. A lot of folks have been commenting on it, and I was, as just kind of a temporary fallback, using the Strymon Iridium for quite a while, just for kind of the convenience of it, and it's not as complicated. But I've, in the last month or so, I've gone back to using this, which is what my original sound was. All right. So, yeah, I'm going to hang here for another few minutes. Thanks, everybody, for joining this live stream. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the description if you'd like to have a consultation or a coaching session or a lesson. Get in touch with me down with the links in the description here. Should be, anyway. Tony B says his father was a professional musician. He plays everything. Nice. It's mostly Celtic medieval type music. That's cool. But he's good at everything. That's awesome. Scott Boswell. All right. Shout out to Scott Boswell. And he's on YouTube, so check him out. Okay, cool. Tights and plaits, a flute. Okay, very cool. Sounds worth checking out. Very cool. All right. Okay, so I'll mute my microphone for a minute. I'll noodle around a little bit. Some spontaneous, original type things. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today. Thanks for listening and chatting with me. Do appreciate it. Hope everybody has a really great day today and enjoys your practice session. All right. So I will talk to everybody next week. Should be back same time. We'll see how it goes. Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks, Tony. All right, everybody. We'll see you all in the next one.